Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Riot Twitch here, and I just wanted to take this time to quickly go over Neace's response video to all the drama that's been going on with him. Um, I'm not going to be going over a lot of the context. Most of that will be covered by Yaski's 3 videos, which I'll link in the description, and I'm going to reference those as evidence for a lot of these points. But my point is just mainly to cover his response video and go over the lies, hypocrisy, manipulation, kind of everything that's wrong with it. The reason why I waited this long is because Neace said he was going to put out a video explaining his side of the story after Yasuke put out some videos, and this is the only video he's uploaded on the subject in the last 4 or so days, so I'm assuming this is his final response. It seems that he thinks that he's addressed everything, and I just want to kind of go over quickly what's wrong with his response and what's wrong with his overall argument.
I feel like I needed to address some things before I get started with today's session, and I wanted to make sure that I clear the air a little bit because there's been a lot of negativity around what I do, and I wanted to take an opportunity to make a more official statement to my YouTube audience, just in case people might be swayed by this. I've literally, for lack of a better term, this literal slander.
Yeah, just a quick point. Slander, in order for it to be actually considered slander, has to be false, and a lot of the stuff is actually true. So, just want to point that out.
That has been going around my content and my business. I guess I should start at the beginning. So, essentially, I don't want to use anybody's name, though, because for the record, I don't want to use anybody's names, because I think that is just going to give them more air in the room. And I've tried in the past. I don't know if you guys have followed me. You know, the people that are new here that have been following me, we've had people kind of flame in the past. And usually what we've done as a editing team is I just go, well, you know what? I'm just going to let them embarrass themselves. Just post them being jealous.
Like, what kind of coaching is this? Are you gonna show me? Like, what are you telling these people?
And
I just wanted to include this clip of him, you know, kind of making fun of Cage Roll, just because that'll come into play later down the road. But I'm just gonna skip ahead now because a lot of the beginning part isn't super relevant to the overall argument.
Recently, what has come about on Twitter is this meme. I mean it. I legitimately thought the meme was funny. Like that was like the funniest thing to come out of this whole thing. Like, is that supposed to be an insult to me? Most players are fucking bronze to gold, man. I think it's funny because the meme of me saying obvious shit, people think it's like a slam dunk against Neace. Like I'm a dumbass. It's like, no, you guys are just elitist assholes that don't want to teach lower elo players because you think you're better than them.
Yeah, so I just wanted to quickly talk about this meme. I'm glad you found it funny, Niece. I'm glad that you found some humor in it. But the main point right there isn't that the advice you give is obvious. The main point is that you're charging $350 for advice that really isn't worth that much. And, you know, for me, the pricing of the whole thing isn't the biggest deal. But, you know, that's just kind of the essence of the meme, not that the advice is obvious. And kind of like continuing off that, the reason why you keep bringing up, I'm not really sure why you keep bringing up that everyone's elitist and looks down on low elo players. I think people are actually looking out for low elo players and low knowledge players, players who don't fully understand what they need to know about the game, because you're taking advantage of their lack of knowledge in order to charge them exorbitant amounts and make them think that they're earning, they're making their money's worth in terms of information that they're getting.
Personal trainers in the chat. This will be fun. This will be a fun exercise. Watch this. This is how you know that these people are fucking stupid. Watch this. If I have a personal trainer in the chat, I don't know any of these people that are about to respond. I'm bound to have a personal trainer in here because there's 170 people in chat right now. Okay, perfect. Personal trainers. How many times have you tried to teach somebody a bench press? And then I would ask the bonus question of, how easy is bench press to you?
How many of those personal trainers would charge $350 to learn the basics of bench press? I'm just wondering. That could be a nice little third follow-up question to your little thought experiment there, buddy.
Most people need to hear the basics. And guess what? League's a fucking complicated game. So the reason that I get paid a lot is because I'm patient enough to teach people the fundamentals all day. Fucking weird. Crazy concept.
I think it's rather disingenuous of you to pretend that people are mad because you're able to charge a lot to teach people the basics. I think the crux of the argument is that you are not who you say you are. You are not a challenger player, and you're passing yourself off as someone who's been challenger in North America when you've only hit challenger in Latin America. And therefore, people mistakenly trust you to provide challenger level coaching, which you do not provide. And therefore, you're able to charge a lot more money than you probably would be able to if you had your legitimate credentials on your website. And I think that's the biggest issue. I don't think the issue is that you charge a lot to teach people the basics because you respect low elo. No, you just exploit low elo players. You exploit people who don't know a lot about the game and just have disposable income.
This is probably the most positive thing that's come out of this, is this really funny meme, and my photographer loves that this thing's going around. But what's not been so positive is this flood of negativity and toxicity and misinformation. I have seen threads. I have seen people literally spend days of their life creating threads trying to destroy my business and what we've built here. And initially, again, I tried to take the high road and just ignore a lot of it because I was like, surely this just reeks of jealousy. Like, this is what I told my wife. This is what I told my editing team. I was like, surely this is pathetic, right? Like,
so that last tweet he actually showed was one of Yasuke's videos, which is a really well made video. It explains all the fake credentials and all that, and we can get into that later. But I think one of the most interesting points here is that Neace tries to discredit a lot of valid criticism of him by saying it's jealousy, saying people are just jealous and they're wasting their time and they have no life and this and they just wish they made as much money as me, when that's really just not a response. Maybe they're jealous, who knows? But that doesn't excuse you from explaining legitimate criticism away. You have to. You never once respond directly to the points that are being brought up by these people who are quote-unquote jealous of you, which I think is a huge issue, and I think is one of the reasons why your credibility has fallen so much in the past few weeks.
Anybody watching these guys like go through my history, like I had one guy who was going through all of my clients and being like, oh, most of these clients don't climb, which obviously is ridiculous, because if I tell a client, hey, you need to take more risks, and he goes on to take more risk and he loses LP temporarily, that's just like one example of many. Like, how can you assign whether or not a coaching is effective based on the results, especially short-term results? It's just a really like rudimentary way of viewing things.
Actually, you contradicted yourself right there in your own statement. The criticism that was brought up of your coaching was that most clients, as you quoted, most clients don't climb. Now, you can't say that's just a one-off example. It's a very valid criticism of your coaching. If the majority, which is what most means, of your clients do not see good big or noticeable improvements in their ELO, then how much was that coaching really effective? Can you say that your coaching is effective because every single one of those clients who didn't climb, like the majority of your clients who don't climb, you were just telling them to take more risks or try something different? I think that's just an example of poor coaching. And I think that empirical evidence like that is very damning of your inability to produce quality results.
And to me, it seems so obvious that these people were jealous and that there was no way, right? There was absolutely no way that people could buy into this stuff. But then people started actually buying into it. I started getting flamed everywhere. Oh.
Here, I think you're reaping the rewards of your approach to dealing with criticism. You were like, oh, these people are jealous, therefore no one will buy into what they're saying, and therefore you didn't directly address the criticisms and you didn't, directly contradict or anything. So people just had, the only option people had was to go with the people who were criticizing you because they had evidence, they had well-constructed arguments, and all you had were they're jealous of how much money I make. And that just shows how kind of out of touch you are with basic human psychology and just how basic humans interact.
Oh, Neace, you got boosted, which is fucking hilarious. And then, oh, Neace, you've never made challenger, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like all this stuff. The only challenger you made is OS.
One, why is it ridiculous to say that you got boosted when there's strong evidence provided that you duo abused with King Sticks, who's a high elo duo booster, as well as doing and low elo with, I mean, relatively low elo, like Plat Diamond with Alicopter, who's a well known Smurf. I don't know why that's ridiculous, why you're pretending like no one could even question that. And then the second thing was you just said Neace only got Challenger and OS, but the tweet you showed was accusing you of only getting Challenger and LAN, which is true. You've only achieved Challenger and LAN. That's where your backpack on your website's from, and that's where like your Challenger credentials supposedly come from. Not the only verifiable place that they come from, because you've never once been able to verify that you were a Challenger in NA.
I've never even played on OS, like just weird shit, and it was coming in just in the just by the truck, like just by piles of people, and I was like, man, people are actually buying into this negativity. And then on top of that, not only was that happening, but now all of a sudden there's a bunch of people that are taking coaching, like running my full coachings and running them basically unedited, waiting for me to make a call on a live coaching and then going, this is the wrong answer because of blah, 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 blah.
So he tells him to go lethal tempo versus Yumi, a super long range duo bot. The first 20 seconds, he's giving him wrong information. And this dude paid $300 for that.
Which again is hilarious because first off, just because the client does a bad play or like I tell a client to do a risky play and the result doesn't go well, does not mean that the coaching is wrong. Because like sometimes you may want the client to take a risk just because the client's a pussy in general and he needs to learn that there's value in taking risks and not being scared. Sometimes the point of the coaching isn't the result. Again, sometimes the point of the coaching is just you want to teach them a concept that you think is more important, right?
Here again, we see one of Neace's typical tactics that he uses in this video, where he'll bring up a point, and the point is people will, you know, kind of go to his coaching VODs and criticize his decision making and his coaching. And the example he uses here is someone explaining why lethal tempo was inferior to fleet footwork. But then after that clip, Neace kind of creates this random fake reality where instead of people criticizing his decisions, he says, oh, just because the client made a bad play doesn't mean it's a bad, decision. It wasn't about a bad play, it was just factually incorrect information, which I think is a very valid criticism. And you're kind of coming up with these fake realities to explain away things that you yourself are showing legitimate examples of. So, I mean, it's just he'll do this frequently where he'll kind of try and dismiss a point by creating something like a straw man to destroy.
So again, I started seeing all these negative videos popping up and I was like, wow, this is really uncomfortable to me, because what they're doing here is they're taking a live coaching that a client has paid for and that we've scheduled, and they're taking my unedited VOD and they're taking my full VOD, posting it, and then using my own VOD to try to deter people from booking my coaching.
I think the reason why you said this is probably, quote, uncomfortable for you is because they are quite effectively able to deter people from using your coaching by using your own VODs, by showing how you're an ineffective coach and how you're giving incorrect information. If you were a good coach and if your information was correct, there would be no way for these people to give these criticisms. So I think the reason you're uncomfortable is because it's a legitimate threat to your business, because it's showing people how you're not the best coach and you don't have the correct information a lot of times. So you don't make the right calls. So I think this is probably the reason why you're copy striking these videos, because you're just really nervous that they pose a legitimate threat to your business, which apparently they don't, but you still act like they do.
Right? And then they're also trying to say that I've never made Challenger. So it's this collective, and it's all the same people. I mean, it's the same people in the same brackets every single time. It's people with less followers, less views, less coaching business. It's always some sort of like obvious point of jealousy, right? Because of all those instances, surely in every single case, those guys, when you would go to their channels, they would have loads of coaching content, right? But it's never the case. I go to their platforms, I go to their channels, and they don't have any coaching videos.
Here we go again with the whole "if you criticize me, you're just jealous" routine, which I think is a very disingenuous, it's just a false argument. I don't think everyone who criticizes you is jealous of you. I think there's legitimate people who are professional coaches who are, very fulfilled in their life, who are, criticizing you for exploiting those who are, stupid with disposable income, or for people who don't know any better, and for you just basically lying to them for $350 an hour. And I think that's all very valid criticism. You also kind of brushed over the part where you never made challenger, and I know you get to explaining that later, so I'll talk about that later. But yeah, just to claim that everyone who criticizes you is jealous is a really, really bad argument.
And guess what their main content is? Their most popular content is them bashing me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to look through my files. And sure enough, one of the common ones was that Neace never made challenger in NA.
So there's actually this website that tracks leaderboards in high elo, and it verifiably showed that Neace's account, Death by Cards, never peaked higher than 491 LP Grandmaster. And actually, after 491 LP Grandmaster, he won a game, which brought him to maybe like 510, and the cutoff was around 550. And then he went on a loss streak and tilted all the way back down to Master. And now we can get into the screenshot that he shows, but it's just really weird that he would keep doubling down on claiming that he was challenger when there is verifiable proof. And it's in the Yasuke video about Stolen Valor that will be linked in the description of this video.
Well, here it is. There's the fucking screenshot. Promoted the challenger, Death by Cards. That was the account that I was playing on. I made challenger and then I sold it. Right? After the account got verified on a Reddit AMA, I sold it.
So this is actually another big point that he uses, is that he claims that the account was verified on a Reddit AMA. And Yasuke did a great job. He actually contacted the moderators there, and there's no record of Neace's account ever being verified, and that's probably because the AMA was so long ago. But what's actually interesting is the only thing that they verify on that Summoner School Reddit AMA is that the account was Diamond 2 or above. So yes, his account was ranked above Diamond 2, but never once was verified to be Challenger. And I mean, we'll get into this a little bit later when he addresses it, but this screenshot is just completely wrong. The font is different on the name, it's italicized, and not a single other person with the Challenger screenshot has ever had a screenshot that looks like the way he does. And, it's just really weird that he would just continue to lie about this.
It's an NA account. Personally, 3, 4, however many years ago this was, I didn't really give a shit about this. I actually never thought I would be under fire in this way by people.
This is also really interesting that he keeps claiming that he didn't really give a shit about the account. He just, whatever, got Challenger or whatever. But it's weird, leading up to where he supposedly got Challenger, there was a lot of tweets about him almost being Challenger and being Grandmaster and on the grind and stuff. But there is no tweet about him hitting Challenger, which I think is really weird that he claims that he never cared about it. But if he's a coach who's basically his entire identity requires a credential of being Challenger, it'd be weird that he never once posted him hitting Challenger or posted a screenshot or any verifiable proof.
I went back through and I found this stupid fucking screenshot to prove what I already said a year ago. And it's like, these people, they just hide in the shadows, right? It's like boxing shadows.
I just kind of wanted to quickly touch on this before he moves on. He keeps claiming that this is proof and that he's now proven that he was Challenger when he really hasn't. With the, suspect screenshot, Reddit AMA that only required D2 verification, and the ranked history LP of his account never peaking higher than 491 LP Grandmaster at the end of the day. So he kind of does this where he'll kind of just assume, or he'll kind of just assert that, oh, okay, now that I've proven it, I bet all these haters look stupid. But I just wanted to make it very clear and reiterate that he has not proven it yet.
Because every situation, like I have people looking at my webcam saying, oh, he's looking at a second monitor or something. He's not paying attention to the coaching. Meanwhile, these guys don't have a fucking webcam. I got people that don't even use webcams shaming me for using a fucking webcam.
Once again, this is an example of Neace kind of moving the goalposts and manipulating the narrative and kind of using manipulative tactics. Here he says people are mad at him for using, or shaming him for using a webcam, when that's not the case. They were shaming him because the webcam demonstrated that he was not giving his full attention to his students who spend $350 to be coached by him. And, I think that's the issue. The issue isn't that you have a webcam, and it doesn't matter if you did or didn't, if you do or don't have a webcam. What matters is that there's demonstrable proof or demonstrable proof that you are not paying attention, at least fully, to your students, which is extremely disrespectful of their time and large amounts of money.
Sat here and not said anything for days, just letting these morons talk ad nauseum about how I'm not a good coach, how, oh, I'm not challenger. And like I said, I was the bigger man every step of the way, and I still am.
In the overall narrative, this is actually a pretty small point, but I just kind of wanted to show what kind of person he is. He, keeps talking about how all these morons are lying and this and saying this and that, and I was the bigger person, and I'm still being the bigger person. Whether or not you're the bigger person doesn't really matter. What matters is that you have not been able to demonstrate any of the accusations to be false. So to keep bringing up being the bigger person, it's pretty much irrelevant. First of all, I don't think you're being the bigger person because you are being very critical and rude and flaming other people. But the bigger point is that you don't need to worry about who's the bigger person. You just need to worry about showing that any of these accusations are false, which you've been unable to do.
Oh, you know what I should do? I'm just going to stay on Twitter and I'm just going to post in all caps because these idiots think all I do is yell anyways. So I'm just going to post in all caps and just make fun of these fucking morons. And that's exactly what I did from there on.
I don't know why you included this point right after you said you're being the bigger person, because all this does is just show you to be childish and scrambling and basically just kind of out of your depth and really flustered. And so I don't know what the point of this is. The fact that you're talking about posting in all caps and, reeling in these morons or whatever, it's a really just dumb point. I don't know why you included it.
I already proved that I made Challenger years ago, and I have to do it again because I'm getting fucking blasted everywhere.
You did not prove that you were Challenger years ago. And if you were honestly Challenger, it really, really should not be that hard to prove it. And I don't know why you are just insisting that you've already proved it, because you haven't.
And then C, if you want to make money at League of Legends, make fucking content.
It's really weird that you keep bringing up money, and it's really not a great look. It makes you seem very insecure. It makes you seem like you're very money-centric. And that's also just terrible in terms of ethics, because we're arguing whether you're being an ethical person, and all you can talk about is how much money you make. And that's completely irrelevant to whether or not you're an ethical person. Yeah, you could lie about whatever you want and make a bunch of money, but that doesn't mean that you're, telling the truth. And if anything, this makes you look like less trustworthy because all you're focused on is making money, and it makes it seem like, yeah, this guy would scam his own mother if it meant he got $350 for an hour of coaching.
I stand with this whole, let's use Neace's own videos to shit on Neace, say that he's a fraud, and then go and try to get clients for their new coaching sites. Okay? A lot of people got mad because I was copyright striking videos. We're going to still do that.
People didn't get mad because you were copyright striking videos. They got mad because you were falsely copyright striking videos. And the reason why it's false is because under fair use, reacting to someone's video is considered an appropriate use of their video. And it's not a violation of copyright infringement. Look at the H3H3 Productions versus fucking whatever that guy's name was. You are using deceptive tactics in order to silence people because they're simply exposing your coaching for the ineffective, overexpensive mess that it is. And I hope to God you don't copyright strike this video for reacting to your thing, because it is completely fair use. And for example, the Tarzan video that you got taken down was put up immediately after an appeal because it fell under fair use, much like the majority of other videos.
Don't flame Cadril. That's what I mean. Don't flame these guys. Don't stoop to their level. Cadril's great. I'm pretty sure Cadril's made Challenger in Jungle. That's never what I've been about. I'm not flaming these other people, guys.
Okay, first of all, Cadril, definitely is a Challenger. He's also been a professional player, unlike you. And then you said that you don't want to stoop to their level and that you've never been about flaming them. But literally in the beginning of your video, you showed one of your videos where you're mocking Cadril and calling him, sarcastically, Analyst of the Year or something. So, I don't know why you just keep producing these demonstrably false statements.
great coaches that are not even, that you don't even fucking know about, that are way cheaper than me. And I've never flamed them.
It's really weird that you're bringing this up like it's a slam dunk, that you've never flamed these other coaches who are smaller than you, when that's really just a very basic, low-level amount of human decency. The point isn't that you are no one's claiming that you're like flaming these smaller coaches. People are claiming, one, that you lied about your credentials, and two, that you're not a great coach and that your coaching sessions are overpriced and you don't treat your clients with the respect that they deserve for their time and money. And you still have yet to prove either of these false.
There's so many people that have went out of their way to attack me that I have personally shouted out in other content.
This is actually pretty similar to what Keemstar does, by basically saying, just because I shouted out these people, I'm immune to criticism from them. I helped them out in the past, so why are they criticizing me now? It doesn't make you immune from criticism just because you shouted someone out in the past. You are still allowed to be criticized by anyone. It does not matter. You cannot, just pretend like you're above criticism because you shouted out smaller creators. It just doesn't work. You need to show why these accusations are false, and you've yet to do that.
Negative attack ad cycle from like multiple angles.
If you are being criticized from all different angles by all different people, there probably is a reason for it. And the reason is because people don't think you ever got Challenger and think you're lying about your credentials in order to sell overpriced coaching. And you are so tied up with making yourself appear to be the victim or like, oh, everyone's against me, that you haven't really addressed the root of the issue. And you're pretending like, oh, yep, I proved I'm Challenger, proved my coaching is good, everyone's just jealous. When you really haven't. You have not done either of those things. And it's really disappointing. This is your final video on the topic so far, that this is your explanation. It's just inadequate.
When I'm not coaching, we've got to go back. We've got to go back to Challenger again. But this time, the Challenger must... Well, actually, here. I'll wait. We'll do it like this. Whichever server wins... looks like Korea's probably going to win. Whichever server wins, that's the one we'll start grinding on. I'm going to have to re-level again because I'm going to lose this fucking account. I'm going to lose this one in December, so I can't do it yet. We have to prove the haters wrong because apparently they think that fucking 3 years ago that I didn't make fucking Challenger in fucking NA, which is like easy as fuck.
Am I going to sit here and act like NA solo queue is the hardest thing to climb? No, I'm not. But it's certainly a lot easier to climb than Latin America, which is the only place you ever hit Challenger. And just to say this, you're not going to prove anybody wrong. It doesn't. First of all, I don't believe you're going to hit Challenger in Korea whenever you go. But that's irrelevant, even if you do. Even if you hit rank 1 in Korea. It's irrelevant because you still have not demonstrated that you didn't lie, or how you didn't lie about being Challenger in NA in Season 9. You lied. And new credentials aren't going to validate the old ones. It's just not how it's going to work.
Am I in a good mood? Got a special update for you. So when I posted my screenshot to Twitter saying, hey guys, I made Challenger, a bunch of people got really nosy. And they zoomed in real close on my image and said, Neace must have photoshopped his Season 9 Challenger image.
Okay, once again, an ad hominem attack here. You're calling people who looked at your screenshot nosy and they must have zoomed in really close and implying they have no life and this and that. When it's pretty obvious just at a glance that your Challenger screenshot looks nothing like the Challenger screenshots that anyone else has ever gotten. So I mean, it's just to pretend like people had to like go super in depth on this is just disingenuous.
Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You know me, I'm in this business to make money. I hit my Challenger credential and I sold my account to a fucking Chinese dude for 2K. Right? But people didn't believe it. They said, Neace, you must have photoshopped your fucking image because it looks different. So first, before I move on, and I have other stuff too, before I move on, here's a little site called photoforensics.com. And what this site does is it determines whether or not you use Photoshop on an image. Whoop, look at that. There's no evidence that this was photoshopped. Wow, fucking weird, right?
Okay, two things. One, I believe you that that image is not photoshopped. I just think it's a fake image. The image may never been doctored post creation, but I think it's a fake image. And I think you've been unable to explain the difference in the font and the coloring between your Challenger screenshot and everybody else's. So I don't think it's ridiculous for people to question the validity of it. And I think until you're able to explain the differences, that's it. Like, you just have not been able to show any other proof that you've been Challenger.
No evidence of that. But wait, there's more. Because while you guys were going on and on about how fucking bad I am at the video game and how I could never possibly be good, I sat and just reeled in the fish one after another, just reeling them all in. And you know what happens when you don't do your research? You miss the really, really obvious things. Like this video that I posted not too long ago, where it shows at the near end of season 9, there I sat playing high elo games with an op.gg right on the fucking screen that shows Neace is sitting at Grandmaster. Don't ask me why I even stream those games. I have no idea. But if you know the truth about high elo, which some of the people here probably do, at that point in time, high elo wasn't really that inflated like it is now. So not only does that prove that I was on an A, that I was not duo queuing, but I very, very likely was really fucking close to Challenger anyways.
Now, this is the most confusing part of the whole video for me. I don't know what you're trying to claim. You're claiming that you were very, very likely very close to Challenger anyways. No one ever said you weren't close to Challenger. People would have said you weren't Challenger. The website that Yasuke uses that tracks LP and high elo tracked that entire account, and on that day you won your next game after being 491 LP Grandmaster. Let's say you got 20 LP for that. So let's say you're at 510. You proceeded to lose your next several games and never got close to the 550 cutoff for Challenger. So I don't know what you think you're proving by showing that you were Grandmaster 491 LP. That proves nothing. And that just goes to show that you have no proof of being Challenger. If this is your proof, you have none.
You don't really get any further in life by hating on other people. That'll be $350.
So it's really nice that you're able to kind of close your video out with this really cool little catchphrase, kind of like, you know, oh, you don't get farther in life by hating on others. That's true. And I don't think anyone's claiming that they're farther in life than you. You know, some people may be, but you know, you've made a success of yourself. I think people still are gonna not believe you that you were ever Challenger because you haven't done anything to show that you were Challenger other than show that you were close to Challenger and show a doctored screenshot. So, I mean, I think in summary, I was really disappointed by this video that you put out because it really does nothing to demonstrate any new information. It doesn't show any new information. It doesn't disprove any of the accusations that were made. Once again, I'll have all Yasuke's videos linked in the description, and those do a great job at giving much more context for a lot of the points that I've brought up in this video. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day.